Did you know that flags are actually banned on cruise ships? In a moment, I'm going to reveal why this and many other common items have been banned recently. Some of these rules make absolutely no sense, but trust me, I work on board, so I know that these are enforced. So here are 13 banned items that you could have in your suitcase right now that could deny you boarding. And one of the most surprising items is flags. You might not think twice about packing a small little flag to hang on your balcony or your door, but cruise lines actually take this very, very seriously. And there was a time where someone was using their flag on their balcony and was told to remove it. The reason the Carnival cruise told them to remove their flag is due to safety concerns. And if you think that's strict, just wait until you hear what's coming up. Some of these bans even surprise the crew. Cruise lines are all about maintaining that peaceful atmosphere. Most people pack this without a second thought. After all, it's something you're going to use at home, in the park, and even on the beach. But on a cruise, it can get you in some serious trouble. And this one item is one of the biggest culprits behind noise complaints. In fact, it's one of the most complained about items from a crew perspective. And it's confiscated a lot more than you'd think. And if security catches you using it in the wrong place, they're not just going to ask you to turn it down. They might take it away for the rest of your cruise. And you might have already guessed what it is. But yes, I'm talking about portable speakers. Some cruise lines will allow small ones, and if you ask me, it's about time these portable speakers got banned, especially in the public areas. Now, this one catches a lot of passengers off guard. CBD oil is legal in many places, and some people even have medical prescriptions for it. But on a cruise, it's a massive, massive grey area. So even if your CBD product contains 0 THC, most cruise lines will not take the risk and they'll just ban it outright. And here's the worst part. Depending where your cruise is going, you could actually get in trouble even just for having this in your bag. Singapore takes drug use extremely seriously, so even if you're caught with something that's legal in your home city or country, you travel somewhere else, it's that country's law that you're following. The captain has the responsibility over this. I remember there was one time that I was in Germany and one of the singers has, it's basically a steamer, it's a Dr. Nelson's, put it up here, and it's just hot water and they take in the steam, so it's to help with their vocal folds. Passenger complained, said that one of the crew members was smoking weed, which obviously is not true, it's just water. Anyway, because we're in German waters, this was taken very, very seriously. So the next day, I'm led in my cabin, knock on the door. There's a German port authority there with sniffer dogs coming to search for weed. And obviously I was there like, oh, hello, come in, you can come in. I'm petrified of dogs. I was not. I don't know if that made me look more guilty. I'm petrified of dogs. Came in, they took swabs of inside safes. Obviously nothing was found, and even on board they did a full sweep, so even not just our department, but it was a full sweep of the ship. This just shows how seriously that cruise lines do take security on board. So at best it's going to be confiscated, and at worst you're going to be dealing with the local authorities, which is not what you want. And while some passengers pack CBD oil without realising, others bring something far more shocking, let's say, and it's next on this list. Believe it or not, handcuffs are officially banned on many cruise ships. And no, this isn't just about someone bringing them on for questionable reasons. If you see my last video, you'll know what I mean. But cruise security sees them as a potential weapon, and if things escalate between passengers, handcuffs can be misused, and cruise lines, I suppose, would just rather not take the risk. And if security finds them in your bag, expect questions. And let's be honest, there's going to be no good explanation either way. Security is trained to find and spot suspicious items, and while handcuffs are on their list, this next one is a lot more unexpected, trust me. Alright, I'm really not joking when I say that some passengers try and bring dead bodies on board. It's in the form of ashes for a memorial at sea. Now, what's really surprising about this is it's not completely banned, but you do need to apply for permission months or weeks in advance and follow the cruise line's strict rules for where you can scatter them. And without this permission, your loved one's remains may be confiscated. Now, this is a rare one, and obviously most people don't have their loved one's remains in their suitcase, or at least I hope not. But you know what they might have? A gift for someone back home, which, believe it or not, might not be allowed. Bringing a bouquet sounds like a thoughtful touch, but most cruise lines ban completely fresh flowers and plants. But why? The short answer, they carry pests and diseases. So if you try bringing them on board, expect security to take them away. Some cruise lines will allow pre-approved floral arrangements, but for the most part it's just not worth the hassle. Now, I was working in Pinot, Australia. Rest in peace, it's no longer Pinot, Australia, it's Carnival. Happy about that. Anyway, and when I was on board, I thought plants and flowers weren't allowed. Until I was walking down the corridor, it's called the M1, where all the crew work, and I was walking past people with the flowers, and I was like, oh, excuse me, how do you get those flowers on board? I didn't think they were allowed. They were like, oh yeah, crew can bring them on. And I was like, oh, amazing. In my head I thought, well, they're banned because of pests and diseases, so what's the difference between crew bringing them on like myself and you passengers watching? And then I was like, there is none. I didn't want to be a snitch, but obviously I was a bit like, I hope not a snitch. I just questioned it to my manager. Give it 2-3 weeks later, flowers and plants were completely banned for crew as well. So I don't know if I helped the situation for stopping pests and diseases, but also I probably wasn't very likeable for the people who were bringing flowers and things on. But if you've got a rule for one, I say you've got to have a rule for all. It's unfair if I can bring them on, I have it in my cabin, and you guys can't. But yeah, right, you might think cruise cabins never have enough outlets. I'm right there with you. So you might bring an extension lead to keep everything charged. I do. Okay, well here's the problem with that. Surge protected power strips are banned on nearly every cruise line. Why? They're just a massive fire risk, and if they overheat, malfunction, a fire on a ship is an absolute nightmare scenario. Fires on a ship are a lot more serious and is the main concern for ships than sinking. I don't know if a lot of people knew that, but for us when we're training, the main safety concern is fires on board, which is why this is taken very, very seriously. Speaking of this, some cruise lines allow cruise-safe power strips without surge protection. But if you bring the wrong kind, security are going to immediately take this off you. But if you think fire safety is the main reasons cruise line ban items, the next one, it's not about fire at all. It's actually what happens when you use it. Most people are going to pack a small pair of scissors without a second thought, but on a cruise, if those blades are longer than 4 inches, they're confiscated. And I think this also goes for TSA as well. You can fly through security with blades smaller than 4 inches. But why over that length? Well, they're considered a security risk if they're over 4 inches. I feel like I'm saying 4 inches a lot. Drones might be a great way to get stunning cruise footage, but they're also banned. So, there was a funny story when I was coming on board and I was working on Pinot, Australia. We get on board, same as you guys, instead of going with the passengers' suitcases, it goes with all the crew. And I think at any one time you can have over 100 crew. So on your turnaround days when you're getting on board, there's also around 100 crew members that are swapping overall. We get onto the ship and the suitcases end up outside our cabins, just like they do for you. And we were unpacking and one of the singers was like, I don't have my suitcase. She was new to ships, so she was quite panicky. And I said to my girlfriend Amy, I was like, oh, it's quite unusual she's not got a suitcase, isn't it? And Amy was like, well, yeah, it's been like 4 or 5 hours. Anyway, we got to security. They were searching through her suitcase because they thought she had a drone and they wouldn't let her take it. And she was like, I don't have a drone. And they were like, no, we need to see, on the scanner it looks like a drone, so we need to check it. They mistook her hairdryer for a drone. So obviously, they do get stuff wrong, crew security, human error, like anyone does. But this also just goes to show that crew security is extremely strict. So even if they're unsure of an item, they're going to search through them. Right, this is 2 in 1 for you. Baseballs, hockey sticks, even fishing rods, all banned. Now you might be thinking, who's going to bring sports gear on a cruise ship? But trust me, plenty of people try. Fishing rods are also banned because, believe it or not, fishing off the cruise ship, off the side of a cruise ship, is illegal. Now you might be thinking to yourself, who on earth's going to fish off the side of a cruise ship?
Oh God! Don't swing.
Awful. Why would you do that?
Don't swing it into somebody's place. Sorry.
Why would you do that? Not sure.
Ah! What is it?
A fish.
Kind of fish.
Oh no, we got one.
Now, at first glance, this might seem like a strange rule, but the more you think about it, the more I talk about it, it's going to make complete sense. Cruise ships are full of smooth, slippery surfaces, especially when it rains if you come in and out of Southampton. But now imagine someone zipping through a crowded hallway on wheeled shoes, and suddenly the ship's tilting. It's a recipe for disaster, really. I've not seen this personally happen, but from online, it's not just a suggested rule from the cruise line, but cruise lines strictly enforce it. And if they see Heelys or see people using Heelys or scooters or skateboard on board, they're going to be confiscated straight away. This doesn't mean they're going to be confiscated as you check in though, because you can use them in port. And I know that a lot of crew members sometimes use roller skates as an easy way to get around the city when they're exploring. Brilliant. Just don't use them on board. Now, even though moving around the ship is dangerous, this next banned item is so controversial that an entire cruise line had to step in and stop passengers from using it. Now, the cruise line I'm talking about is Norwegian Cruise Line, and their strange ban might surprise you considering that a lot of other cruise lines do allow this. Decorating your cabin on your cruise is a fun tradition, except on Norwegian Cruise, where it's banned for safety reasons. Now, personally, I don't see anything wrong with decorating the outside of your cabin, especially if there's no hooks or anything stopping the door, because the main reason it would be considered a fire hazard, or a hazard, sorry, is because it would be a fire hazard. But stickers or some pineapples, I think is absolutely fine. So before you pack that festive decor, check your cruise line policies to avoid any surprises. So now you know what's banned, but what happens if someone gets caught with one of these items? Well, let's just say I've seen things go very, very wrong. And if you want to see one of the worst crimes that I've seen committed while working on board, you're going to want to give this video a watch here. Give it a click.